Because the only good ice is polar ice, we'd like to do a fundraiser to support people harmed by the Trump administration's violent occupation of Minneapolis and other cities. If you are around for our abortion care fundraiser, this will work the same way. To participate, please make a donation to the organization of your choice that provides mutual aid, support for immigrants, or other support for protesters. While support for people in Minneapolis is an obvious choice right now, we aren't picky about it. An immigrant relief organization in your own community, the ACLU, anything along those lines would qualify. Please email us your donation receipt at hugogirlpodcast@gmail.com. Please do not send receipts via social media. And we'll essentially treat that receipt as a raffle ticket. All donations received on or before March 31st, 2026 will count. We'll select one person at random to choose a movie for us to watch and discuss on the show. Yes, I said a movie because right now we have to get through Green Mars, so we can't add an extra book. Thank you so much for your support.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. You're listening to Hugo Girl, a Hugo Award-winning podcast that also talks about Hugo Award-winning novels and boat books. I'm Haley.
I'm Lori.
I'm Amy.
Let's do this.
And today we've got a boat book.
Today we've got a boat book. It's been a long time since we've had a boat book, and we read Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage by Alfred Lansing, published in 1959.
Whoop, whoop.
It was neither nominated for a Hugo nor won one.
Robbed.
Haley is our ship's captain,
Aye, aye.
wearing a great sweater.
Are you the commander or the captain?
I'll be the mate.
I never understand the difference in a commander and a captain.
Well, it's really complicated in the U.S. Navy, but let's not get into it.
Okay.
I always just figured it was like the commander like is planning everything and he's like the top dog, and then the captain's actually doing the boat stuff, like captaining the crew.
So like John Franklin was the commander and Francis Moira Rowden Crozier was the captain, and also James Fitzjames was also a captain.
Well, there's captains of boats, and then there are... Captain is a rank, and commander is also a rank in the different navies of the world.
Oh, I'm just talking about our expeditions.
Yeah, and it's hard because some of them are nautical navy based, and some of them are just adventure based. So,
per
This is definitely
expedition.
adventure based.
yeah, exactly.
Like that. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
So,
We have a correction corner.
we got any housekeeping?
Yeah, we have a correction corner. Last time we had talked about The Locust's best book of all time for 1998, and we
My inability to use the internet.
thought it was Rise of Endymion. And it's funny because Haley guessed Dune, and then it turns out, in fact, it was Dune. In 1998, Locust did two different things. They did their best novel, which they always do, and then they also did a best of as of 1998. And so Rise of Endymion won best novel for that year, but then Dune was the best overall of all time as of 1998. And that was pointed out by Duncan McGregor and Andy in our Discord, which you should join because it's fun. And you too can correct us if
And
you're in the Discord.
Thank you for the very gentle correction then.
I was about to say,
They
It
told-
was gentle.
It was a gentle
yeah,
correction.
Rise of Endymion is not important to men.
This makes like he said that and I was like, oh, that explains everything. I was so confused when I saw that. I was like, but here it is on the internet, so I guess I'll report.
And it was funny when you were like, what do you think it was? And Haley's immediately like, Dune. And then it
In
was
fact,
Dune.
no.
And whereas I was like, for $1, name a science fiction novel. I was like, I don't know.
We've never read any.
No idea. That's it.
Cool. Well, let's dig into the plot.
I was wondering earlier if a nonfiction book has a plot. Is it plot or
I
is
have
it something
I have
else?
something to say about this
Oh,
later.
okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting. All right.
Plot. There's a narrative arc.
Yeah.
Well, there is,
Yeah.
but I don't know if
This is more like background
if
for the
plot is the right word for nonfiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it didn't come out of his brain.
It's just...
But you do have to still figure
You
out
can
how to tell the
imagine it.
story. So I don't know. Just
Well, yeah,
wondering.
because this is a work of nonfiction, and the plot is like what happens, right? So
But you do have to figure out the best way to tell it.
yeah, and this guy Alfred Lansing was he had access to like these men all somehow kept.
I want to talk about that later too.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. Endurance details Ernest Shackleton's attempt at the Imperial Trans-Arctic Expedition of 1914 to 1917. The plan was to sail down to Antarctica because the South Pole had already been reached. Boo. And then cross the continent with a sled team of dogs and men. Just crazy, crazy stuff. However, the party gets stuck in pack ice, as you are wont to do at the ends of the earth. Eventually, the ship is broken to bits by the pressures of the ice. And then the men evacuate the boat and then survive on like a traveling ice floe, a big chunk of ice for, the size of a football field for months. And then they take to the boats to get to the closest land when that happens. Then Shackleton takes off in an open boat to South Georgia, crossing the Drake Passage in like a 22-foot boat on the most dangerous waters on Earth, and manages to find a whaler base. He then manages to rescue the men he left behind on the island when they got to safety. If it sounds boring and repetitive, it might be for some people.
There's definitely a lot of detail.
There's so much detail, but I found it incredibly interesting.
Me too. The first time I read it, I was riveted. And then this time I mostly did it on audio. And the audiobook is very good.
Oh, really?
It really is. But I did notice more listening to it that I was like, wow, he is really telling me what this iceberg looks like.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it.
I kept thinking a lot about what rotten ice is. Like,
Me too.
What is rotten ice?
If that just means that it's
shitty
like
ice.
doesn't have like structural integrity or something behind
Old
I
ice?
also
I looked
want to know.
I looked up a lot of pictures of icebergs and
Same.
ice when I was
Yeah.
reading this, and I think that rotten ice is ice that has been sort of infested with salt water, and so
It's
it's not really
gross.
structural. It doesn't have any structural integrity anymore, and it's just slushy and gross. And and a lot of the time, I think listen, take all this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But it's also like icebergs start to kind of break apart and
Yeah.
dissolve, and I think it's part of that.
I think that makes a lot of sense because salty water doesn't freeze as well, right?
This might be the same level of research I did for the Locust
yeah.
Awards.
Well, so us three Georgia
Join the
gals,
Discord and correct us.
us three Georgia gals don't know a lot about cold weather.
No.
But I was talking to Ash, my girlfriend, who has lived in snowy places her whole life, and she was telling me how like once it gets a certain temperature, it's too cold to snow. And I was like, I don't know what that means.
Like, is the air too dry or something?
Apparently between like 20 and 35 is like prime snowing. And I was like, well, but there's still ice, clearly. She's like, yeah, there's still ice, but like snow as we know it thrives in like a certain little area.
What
Well, I
happens to the
assume-
water if it's too cold?
I mean, I think it just freezes, but like snow as like a thing gets affected by if it gets too cold. I don't know.
Science friends, write in. Water cycle friends, write in. Join the Discord.
Precipitation pals.
By the way, today here in Atlanta, it's been fucking snowing, you guys. Ish.
It's not sticking. The high is 24
But
today.
there was a lot of flake coming down, though.
When I was driving over
Oh,
here,
yeah.
it was
Big old
pretty
fat
good.
flakes.
It
I
never
enjoyed
rained.
it.
It never rained. It never snowed that hard at my house, but then when I was driving over here, it was
I
pretty good.
was at the dollar store when it began to snow this morning buying modeling clay to make fake fried chicken for props from my friend's theater. And I exited the Dollar Tree and I was like, oh my God, blizzard.
Too cold.
And then we took Teddy for a walk in the snow and it was fun.
Last weekend, when we were supposed to have our ice apocalypse, I was in New Orleans on a little vacay. And on that Monday, the high was like 43 in New Orleans. And so many stores were like, sorry, we're closed. We can't come in. It's too cold. There was no ice. There was no snow.
Too cold, not open.
It was too cold for the Cajun folks.
Well, this happens in Atlanta too. Things get canceled because it's going to be cold, and it's like 30.
Listen, we love an impromptu day off and I don't begrudge anyone.
It's the patented Georgia's sunny snow day.
Also,
Happened
the thing is-
my whole life.
If you're wrong, you end up with the snowpocalypse like we did several years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all about caution, but
Let us
it's
be
just
overly
funny. It
cautious.
just happens all the time. They were like, it's going to be snowy and icy. I'm like, no, girl, it is not going to be snowy and icy.
Yeah.
But the snow was really pretty.
It was
It is pretty.
And we put a little jacket on Teddy and he looked so cute in a jacket.
And I decided to take this opportunity to wear my good slops, which
yeah.
I never get to wear, even though I didn't really need them.
I mean, a high of 24 is insane for Georgia.
and it was
feels
really
colder out.
windy.
Yeah,
it
it's
feels
cold.
colder. The wind when I was just walking down from my apartment down to my car, it was like, I felt like I was on South Georgia Island.
It's been very cold for a couple of weeks, and I feel like it's been the perfect weather
Yeah.
to appreciate how miserable
100%.
these men were.
Prepping for this today, watching the snow flurry around outside, I was like, I know exactly what it was like.
I was sitting on my couch an hour ago, and I didn't lock my front door because I'd gone out to my car to get something, and I was leaving again in a minute. And the wind bursted open, and then snow started coming in. And, I was like, and for a minute, I'm always like, is it a ghost or is it a home invader? I don't know. And then my heart rate shoots up, and it's just the wind.
Your Apple Watch is like, are you okay? I've noticed you may be going for a run.
It does that sometimes. Are you exercising? No, I just had a panic attack. Yeah.
That happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I was in a trial, and every time I glanced down at my Fitbit, it was like 120. And I was like, I'm not even that stressed about this.
I know,
Calm down.
I have my little Whoop, and sometimes it's like, are you cycling right now? No, I'm not.
I'm just sitting here with my thoughts.
Yeah.
My very complicated thoughts.
Your thoughts are running.
There you go. They sure are.
Racing through my head.
Yes, I would like to
Racing-
record a run Fitbit.
Racing thoughts.
All right, should we do Goodreads?
Let's
Yes.
do it.
Oh, man.
All right. I went straight to the 1 star.
It's like,
Me too.
I was like, did I read the same book as these people?
I know.
Like,
Well,
I said to Kevin, I didn't think there were. I was like, I bet there are no bad reviews of this book. Oh, there are.
I guess it's not the genre for everybody.
it is rated very high. It's like 4.46.
Yeah.
It's really high.
People who hated it.
But there are
hated it.
1,300 1-star reviews.
I agree. And I forget somebody that we know and love on the podcast, whether in the Discord or an email, was like, I don't know why y'all like these books so much.
It was Mac Lindsay about the terror, though.
Yeah,
He was like, I can only deal with so much rotting oil skin.
No, I want more.
spoiled food.
More. Yeah. So
I listed every gross thing they ate in this book. I'm excited.
yeah, same. David Billow gave it 1 star. This is a rinse and repeat straight shooter about ice, cold, wetness, seal meat, dog killing, and miscellaneous privations. It is thin on character study, suspense, or anything that could be considered human interest. I'm shocked yet impressed. So many readers, I assume not all 12-year-old Boy Scouts,
Boys adventure fiction.
had sufficient attention span to dedicate to such a dry work of nonfiction and apparently enjoy it.
I'm delighted that we all gasped in unison.
I know.
I had so many that I wanted to do, but I'm going to stick with this one. This is Roman on Goodreads. Roman didn't know that it was fiction or nonfiction.
Oh my God.
So he said specifically, it's a documentary.
Babe.
It's a documentary nonfiction masqueraded like a fiction book.
There's no masquerading.
Oh, sir.
There's little mini goodies from Goodreads in here. He gave the characterization 2 stars, very little dialogue, and instead of me getting to know Shackleton from his actions, I was just told exactly what he was like. Really poor character building.
Girl, what?
Plot is 3 stars. This, to me, felt like a perfect example of telling, not showing. Things happened in order for the expedition to survive. Like,
What? No.
Correct. Things did happen.
setting 2 stars.
I hate Antarctica.
In an attempt for my reading experience to be more immersive, I actually pulled up the maps and mapped out their journey. Who doesn't?
Wait, hold on, pause. There was this girl in my high school health class that was kind of trashy, and one day we were talking about hormones, and she said, I hate the pituitary gland. And that is what reminds me, like, I hate the setting of a book about Antarctica.
He said he looked up maps so that he could make his reading experience more immersive. I looked through the pictures of what the localities look like, and while it did make it more engaging, it also made me more convinced this should have been a documentary, not a book.
Oh my God.
Wrong medium.
I also want to pause and say I think I also hate the pituitary gland because it explains my late breaking 42-year-old acne and also why I'm hot all the time.
Yeah. The pituitary gland.
But mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Listen, the pituitary gland is a bitch. She will stab you in the back.
Oh, I hate her right now.
I actually don't know. I think the pituitary gland is in charge of hormones, so I'm blaming her for a lot.
It's just
Is that
growth.
endocrine? Is that part of the endocrine system?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Girl, we're all English
I'm trying to
majors.
pull up my high school biology.
I got a 4 on the AP Bio
Listen,
test.
whatever makes hormones, I'm mad at it. Okay. I have 2 if you'll indulge me, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. Olivia gave it 1 star and said, the book was terrible. So many things that weren't necessary and so many details I could just shoot myself.
These homosexuals make me want to set myself on fire.
Some disturbing parts, and if you're an animal lover, definitely don't read it. It's very traumatizing and unrealistic how they all survived. I know it's a true story, but I don't care. Spoiler alert, it sucks and the endurance sinks.
Spoiler.
I love it. She says it's unrealistic, but it's real. Okay. It sucks and the endurance sinks.
Oh, no, you ruined it for me.
Okay. Connor also gave it 1 star. This book was part of the required reading for my class, and I hated it. The book took an overall interesting topic and made it unbearable to read. The book made me feel as though I was on a floating glacier. Dry, unappealing writing with no escape, much like the situation Shackleton was in. If the point of the book was to make readers suffer like Shackleton did on his expedition, Lansing succeeded.
Oh.
I like the metaphor, though. Bonus points for the metaphor.
That was like this guy Ben said, I hope Shackleton enjoyed that voyage because I certainly did not.
Meanwhile, I would pick up this book and 100 pages would be gone in minutes.
I loved the audio. I listened to it very happily. I read it in print the first time and very happily read it. And then when listening to it on audio, some stuff jumped out at me that I didn't remember from before, but some of it was so vivid from before. I really enjoyed the reread.
Yeah, same.
And I think doing it in a different medium has a benefit because different things will stand out.
Yeah.
I like the reread too because I think when I first read it, like I maintained memories of very specific high points of the plot, as it were.
Yeah. Same.
But then going back and reading it again, I think I'll have more context when I think back on it now because I mean things will stick that didn't stick before.
Yeah.
I was going to read another one, but I guess I won't.
I had no memory of the bosom caresser, which we
Yeah.
definitely
somehow
didn't
skipped
just
that.
talk about, and we'll talk about later because of movie magic.
Yep.
I think one of my favorite things about the reviews, though, was that all the armchair quarterbacking people did
know.
of Shackleton's decisions. My favorite one, I think, was this girl, Lainey, says, even when he does show some initiative in making the journey to land and somehow manages to reach civilization, all sense of urgency or loyalty to his men seems to leave him upon reaching solid ground. He takes literal days to rest up and regain his strength despite the fact that he's abandoned his entire crew.
I bring her to me. I'm gonna fight her.
This is after they went through the most
The Drake Passage.
harrowing journey through the Drake Passage in a boat.
Also, if they die, then the men on Elephant Island die.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he took a day to take a bath and eat a meal. Sorry.
I'm okay with
Sorry.
that.
I'm sorry. Bring her here.
Yeah.
I have a knuckle sandwich for
Also,
her.
and then after he got going, I should wait, but after he got going, like to find a boat and go get his men, it still took 3 months because you can't get through the ice.
Also,
like,
Lamau when he finally took initiative.
when he,
This man is a
when
hero.
I'm not saying Shackleton is perfect. I think he's
when he
vain
does-
and egotistical.
When he does show some initiative.
He made a lot of bad decisions. Like all people, he is a mixed bag, and he's, I think, an extraordinary mixed bag. Like, I'm a mixed bag in the sense of like, oh, I don't know, sometimes I'm late for things. Sometimes I might say something rude by accident. He's a mixed bag in
people
the
are
sense
people.
that he went to Antarctica, and maybe that wasn't the best idea, and then he did the best he could.
But not a single person who
Yeah.
signed up for that journey didn't know that this was
Exactly.
a possibility.
Yeah,
I mean, it's happened to
exactly.
so many journeys before them.
And I think there are a lot of criticisms of his vanity in the 1-star reviews, and I think that those are fair. Semicolon, look at all they fucking survived.
He
Yeah.
got
Nobody
everybody
died.
out of that. It's just, and I think there is also some credit that needs to be given to, especially Wilde and Worsley, his captain and the I think second in command or something like
Yeah,
that. Wilde stayed with all the men on Elephant Island, and Worsley navigated them through the Drake Passage with no sun directly to South Georgia
I
Island.
have such a crush on both of them.
I mean, Worsley to me is maybe better than Shackleton.
I also have a crush on Wilde for being second in command and being like, yeah, I'll stay here and make sure everyone is okay.
I know.
Like, I mean, we don't know what actually happened. All we have is Lansing's report. But like,
There are so many journals that we do know what
the
happened.
humility that it would take, I think, to be like, I'll stay here and
Wilde-
hang out with the boys and give haircuts
And the snuggery.
in the snuggery. Which,
So-
by the way, is a word that sounds like a lolcat would say.
So once they got off the ice, they made it to a tiny bit of land and then made a little, they like put 2 boats together to make like a tiny house and just like
Lived there.
stayed
there.
Just lived there and like pissed in buckets.
Because you really couldn't go outside much, so they just hung out.
I thought it was so funny how, so if you peed in the pee bucket and you reached within 2 inches of the top, it was your job to then empty the pee bucket.
to leave the snuggery and go into like the howling 50-mile-per-hour
So
negative wind.
some of the men would need to pee, and then they would be like, I'm just going to wait because somebody else will need to pee, and they'll reach the brim, and they'll have to empty it because nobody wanted to empty it. So they would just lay there in this cold in the snuggery needing to pee, being like, I ain't doing it. Like they're playing pee chicken.
They're
I think anybody who's ever camped in a cold place and had to leave the tent to go to the bathroom understands exactly what is
Bury
going
your
on there.
ass to the wind.
It sucks. You're so warm, and you got to go out there and expose your bare ass to the wind.
But I think about my Arctic boys, and every time you have, like, peeing multiple times a day, and you're just like, this is so cold.
Or they have to hang their ass over the side of the boat. Absolutely not.
And they don't have toilet paper, so just the smell.
yeah.
The smell.
Yeah.
I am
I
throwing
wondered about
myself
that.
over
Is
the
it so
boat.
cold? They have to have smelled.
Oh, well, I
But
think,
could they really?
They
smell
say
bad?
it smelled.
In the snuggery, I bet it smelled bad.
yeah, I guess but still in the tents, I mean,
It's got to smell.
Well, and-
but also you probably don't smell it at some point because, like,
yeah,
you get used to it. I think.
At one point, they talk about having worn the same slops for
Oh,
6 months,
yeah.
and like the oil just
Yeah.
seeped into it. Like,
Nasty.
Yeah, those slops are part of your skin.
Rotting.
I think this is going to be a maxi-sode.
yeah.
We have a lot to say about being cold in the Arctic.
My very first talking point is just Jesus Christ.
Poor things.
I just can't imagine. So being cold is one thing, but the amount of times they are wet.
Oh.
I was going to ask you guys what you
Yeah.
thought the worst part would be.
So I think the interesting thing about being I think an interesting thing about the temperature is that it's worse when it's not super cold, because then they have to deal with wetness and slush. And if it would just be super, super cold, everything would stay frozen and they wouldn't be damp, because it does. But because it doesn't stay super cold, they're damp all the time.
Especially in the boats.
Yeah, they described like the clothes would get wet and then they would have to like not want to touch that part of the clothes because it was so cold.
And you would think that warmer would be better, but in these kind of circumstances, warmer is worse.
Yeah. And then you could snuggle together with your boys and stay warm.
I think apart from the animal situation, for me, the worst part would have been, I think I said it was like halfway through their boat trip to Elephant Island, because
I think that's the low point.
They're cold, they're afraid, they're wet, they're hopeless, they're sinking. Did they even know about World War I? I don't know.
Well, like because they left like right in August, like right. I think
they're getting abscesses and frostbite.
Didn't they offer their boat for the war effort, and then they were told, no, it's okay, go ahead.
They knew it was starting, but
like boys were dying in trenches.
They had no idea, right? Like, I don't know. I think that part I think sounds the worst, because they've just spent a year on ice. They don't have a lot of like energy or food or body fat, and they're just cold.
So
cold,
why didn't they get? So every other Arctic exploration book we've read, granted, was the Franklin expedition was 70 years prior. What were they doing to prevent scurvy? Because men weren't losing teeth.
Well, they were eating meat.
Well, I know, but like, does meat have vitamin C? I guess it does.
Raw meat.
Oh,
does.
yeah, like the seals. That's right.
Yeah, as long as it's not cooked, because cooking will destroy the vitamin C.
Right. Especially if they're chewing on blubber and that sort of thing.
That's true.
And I can't remember.
They did have they had some food with them for a long time. They had canned vegetables and stuff for a while.
But canned stuff isn't typically going to contain vitamin C, because the cooking and canning process destroys it. So an interesting thing, and I cannot remember where I read this or heard this, but there was a point in time where they had sort of forgotten, like Westerners had sort of forgotten how you get scurvy, because at a point they had realized, and they take limes, and no one's gotten scurvy in a long time, or it's not such a rampant problem anymore. And it was sort of forgotten about, which makes me think now about how we're like, measles isn't a big deal. It feels like the same kind of thing where like we've basically eliminated the problem and then forgotten that it's a problem. And I wish I could remember where.
I think that was in Madhouse at the End of the Earth.
Maybe.
Because I think he talks about how it's been remembered and forgotten like more than once.
Which is so
we have
funny.
to remember that scurvy is a thing.
Like, write it down, boys.
Well, I also don't know if they didn't know about vitamin C for a long time, so they didn't exactly know why the limes helped. They just knew the limes helped,
That's why they called British sailors limeys.
Yep. So that's interesting to me too.
Yeah.
And
it seems like such critical knowledge.
I know, especially for
and somehow it was lost. What they needed was some notary public.
That's true.
Keeping track of this stuff and being like, all right, boys, don't forget your limes or you'll get scurvy.
Limes. Well, yeah, because it's not just sailing voyages. It's like the Oregon Trail. Are you eating fresh meat or lemons? No, we don't know. My question for you guys is, how are the vibes different from Franklin and Company versus this?
This seems a lot more swashbuckling
does.
To begin with. And then also, I think it's later in time, so the people are a little bit more, I don't know, I want to say aware of the momentousness of the thing, but like, they're not sailing exactly into the unknown either, right? They know where they're going. There's people who have been there before.
Better technology.
There's whalers down there. They have slightly better technology. They're just doing a thing to like, for the swashbuckle of it all.
There's hubris, but not as much hubris as like they at least had clothes that worked, whereas like the British Navy in the 1840s was like, wool.
I think they used Roald Amundsen's tent design. Did y'all say this? Because Roald Amundsen designed this conical tent that is better in Arctic winds when he was down there with the Belgica. And they showed pictures of the tents they were using. They called it a new design. I'm pretty sure those were the Roald Amundsen.
Roald Amundsen is my historical boyfriend.
Oh.
And here's why.
Also a complicated man.
A complicated man.
All these men are.
Absolutely a complicated man. But the interesting thing about Amundsen, and I have this quote, which per a blog I found, this quote is in the book, but it's not attributed. A blog said that it's from someone named Raymond Priestley, who was not on this expedition. It says, for scientific discovery, give me Scott, Robert Falcon Scott, R.I.P.
like this quote, yeah.
For speed and efficiency of travel, give me Amundsen. But when disaster strikes and all hope is gone, get down on your knees and pray for Shackleton.
Yeah.
And that is why we are talking about this book and not a book about Amundsen, because Amundsen, for the most part, his stuff worked out.
Yeah,
he was
well
meticulous
prepared.
in planning. He was meticulous about learning about things.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's funny because Shackleton, in many things that I read, he's regarded as a failure because his expeditions really never attained their goal. But he came back with such good stories that he looms really large in the public consciousness, because we would rather read a story about people who boated to Elephant Island and then boated to South Georgia and then found themselves on the wrong side of South Georgia and then had to climb a mountain and then had to slide down the other side. I know that is just a better story than I wanted to get to the South Pole and then I prepared and I planned and then I did.
I know, here's all the things I did right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, it's just like less interesting, which I do think I recall reading really stuck in Amundsen's craw.
Yeah.
That he was like, I don't fuck up and no one wants to hear about it because I didn't have to eat one of my fucking stewards.
Yeah.
I think also, like, you know, Shackleton crewed his boat on vibes alone.
And it worked.
Yeah.
The vibes ended up being key to survival.
I will also say, I mean, not every choice he made was correct.
Yeah.
It sounds like 1 or 2 of his guys did not sound good to sail with.
Yeah.
But he was really smart about insulating them from being able to foment discord.
His ability to read the psychology of the situation was really interesting.
There was no Cocker's mate Hickey to make a mutiny.
Cocker's.
One thing, and by the
There
way,
was also no Mr. Blanky as
we are comparing them to fictional versions of real people. Like,
this was a novel. You didn't
sometimes I feel bad. Like, Hickey is basically portrayed as a sex pervert, and I'm like, he might have just been a nice guy who caulked the toilets. You know what I mean? Like I think the
His
terror
descendants were like,
terror has. I know they're like, he's my great uncle once removed, and by all accounts, he was just like a regular, hardworking, nice man.
Yeah, that died on
Didn't
this expedition.
sexually abuse a disabled man or try to murder or eat anybody.
Thanks, Dan Simmons.
So we do have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But maybe he was. Maybe an evil spirit couldn't even stand the taste of him.
true.
On the topic of Mr. Blanky, they really didn't seem like they had an ice guy.
Yeah.
And all the ice advice they got ignored.
Yeah.
But they did have 2 firemen. So, which I thought was really ironic.
So I texted
no icemen, but 2 firemen.
I texted the gals a week ago, and I was like, so in the Terror, they have on both the Terror and the Erebus, they have ice masters, like men that have been traveling for decades and can like read the pack ice and know when to get in and out. And this boat trip, they did not have an ice master, Mr. Blanky. And I think that could have helped them to be like, maybe we shouldn't go this direction and straight into the pack ice or the pancake ice and get stuck for
Rotten ice.
12 years or whatever.
I would like to shout out someone I know from the Hugonauts Discord, Garland Greaves. He recently read The Terror, and he was basically live chatting in the Hugonauts Discord as he was reading The Terror, and I was delighted to respond. And he was like, thanks for engaging with me while I've been reading it. It's made it more fun. And I was like, honey, this is the best time I've ever had on the internet, like chatting about The Terror and responding to your reactions in any way. He then listened to our episode and he was like, ooh, good for you. I think, Haley, you had been like, who's who? Like, which one of us is who?
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, I think you're Mr. Blanky or someone's. I didn't re-listen to it, but he was like, good for you for getting Mr. Blanky. I was like, yes, thank you.
I wonder who else we got.
I can't remember.
I think you wanted to be Mr. Diggle. I think you wanted to be the cook.
That's right.
Because they did say
He's the most popular boy.
Mr. Diggle was like miraculous in being able to throw together a decent meal out of garbage.
Yeah. I feel like, and he gets to stay inside the entire time, and he gets to sleep
Stay
late.
by the fire.
Yeah, because he could sleep late because the men would wake up early to light the fire so the cook, because people love the cooks. People love
Or
the cooks.
don't love the cooks. I think they can also get a lot of
it depends on the cook.
because they
It did say it was not unusual for cooks to get a lot of ribbing in this book.
Yeah, but so my favorite part of the cooks in this book is like when they were just in the open boats, they would like lash up to an iceberg or an ice floe, and then he would get off and like cook and then give the dinner.
Or like they were describing the open boat trip through the Drake's Passage, which
In a small boat.
I will never get over.
Yeah. No shit, like going on a cruise ship.
The part of this book that makes me cry the hardest is when the old wizened Norwegian whalermen like shake their hands for
Oh, I know.
boating.
They like turn away and cry. They're
Oh
like,
my God.
Shackleton!
They turn away and weep. Anyway,
I know, that was good.
They talk about trying to cook in that situation, and they're in this boat which they've built a fake decking on with canvas, and they get up underneath that thing and try and light a
Sleeping on
stove.
rocks.
I mean, like the effort you have to go to eat in this situation is just
I don't know how
mind blowing.
they're just wet the entire time.
They're wet the entire time. They're wet and cold, and their hair is greasy, and they can't brush their teeth, I'm assuming, and they can't wipe their butt, and they're just everything is just terrible. And then one of them has to get their toes cut off, and then they have to drain their saltwater abscess. It's terrible. The whole thing is terrible.
I'm glad that you said that because I feel like we should add an occasional segment called Tearjerker Time.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. Because I have
There's a couple times I cried in this book.
I have a tearjerker moment, and it is when... Let me find this gentleman's name.
To be fair, the characters do kind of run together. Like at a certain point, I'm like, I don't care what the name is.
I have a list called Guys, and it reminds me of Who's Who.
Our men.
So Green Street, they're all arguing, they're all snipping at each other, they're hangry. It's not like a fight, but they're all like sassing and being snotty. And Green Street spills his little hot cup of milk.
Yeah.
And the men stop arguing. And he picks up his cup and he's just like bereft because he's lost his little milk ration. And all the men that he was just arguing with pour little bits of their milk into his cup so he has his ration back. I had to just stop and sit. I was like, these people.
They're so good to each other.
They are so good to each other. And I think that is the testament to Shackleton's genius. Yeah. Yes, he's reckless in some ways. He's vain. He's selfish in some ways. But he was so good at team building.
That's the important part.
Imagine him as a marketing director. He's so good at team building. He's like, how will these people function together in a crisis? And even like Ord Lees, who's like known as kind of a little bitch.
Yeah.
There's that one scene where the one guy, maybe he gets wet or something. I can't remember exactly what happens, but he's so cold. And Ord Lees opens up his shirt and takes the guy's feet and presses them against his chest to warm his feet. And this is a guy who won't row.
Yeah, he's like, I'm old.
He's on a ship, and he's like, he deliberately rows off beat. Like he does that
he's like, I'm bad at
intentional incompetence thing where he's like, oh no, I'm bad at it, so that he won't be asked to do it. Yeah. But he's like, give me your feet, I'll warm them on my chest. And I just was so struck over and over again by the caregiving that they do.
Yeah.
And especially for men in this time period to do this kind of caregiving, especially like physical caregiving. Yeah. And one of them has a moment where he's repairing, I think, a hole in his trousers or something. And he was like, I just would have been so ungrateful for the work that goes into this. And now I know how much work it is. And I was just thinking like, yeah, you better go home and be nicer to your wife for all the shit that she does when she darns your socks and whatnot.
A lot of questions about what happened when they got
back. But I did think it was such an incredible thing for him to put into writing, to be like, I would have been so ungrateful for this labor. And now I understand it's skilled and important and really necessary.
I love these all came from their journals, and like, somehow they kept them safe from the water and time.
Talking about Worsley's journal after they were going through the freaking Drake's Passage as discussed, and they get in their little boat, gets them all the way to South Georgia Island, and like he's in the boat like really upset because he's like, we might die 25 yards from the island.
Yeah.
The boat will go down and nobody will have any idea what happened or how close we came. And like his despair in that moment really got to me, because it's like they spent all their time keeping these diaries, and I really thought about that a lot. It's like, are they keeping the diaries because they think they'll be able to read them later, or are they keeping the diaries because they think they won't? You know,
maybe both.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what that must have been like. Like, why am I writing this down? Is it because I'm bored? Could have just been because they were bored and it was something to do, or like, where do I put all these feelings that I'm having, or how do I even begin to describe them? Like, again, men in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The diary thing is really thick.
I think they recognize the importance of them as as a record. Like, it wasn't just something to do. And the reason I think that is because when they were each given an allotment of 2 pounds of stuff to carry with them, the men who had diaries, they made an exception. You carry 2 pounds of stuff, and also if you've been keeping a diary, you can keep that. So I think they recognize that those were important for having a record.
Yeah.
Right. But then my same question is still like, do they
I don't know.
Do they do that because just general posterity, which is totally possible, but did they ever stop to think like, who's going to read this?
I don't know. Why does anyone keep a diary, I guess?
That's true. I mean, Anne Frank, same question.
I do it because it makes my thoughts stop going in circles.
I mean, I bet when you have nothing to do, because they do talk about how they have so little to do. Like, they're either staving off death 24 hours a day, or they don't have much to do.
Yeah, they're just like hanging out, smoking cigarettes. When they run out of tobacco, and they're just like, I guess we'll try smoking like the threads from my sleeping bag.
Like the descriptions of so the guys who are waiting on Elephant Island when they're waiting 4 months to be rescued, or however long it is. 4 months.
4 months. Just sitting.
Giving each other haircuts and playing banjo.
They're literally just sitting, and like they talk about how they read the same books over and over again. They find a little
piece of newspaper,
rag of newspaper, and they're like poring over it.
Can I borrow your newspaper?
Reading the cookbook and talking about just talking for hours about what food they want to eat.
Yeah.
Like And then one of them in his diary is like, I just sit here and I don't have thoughts for hours.
Yeah, you just like dissociate, and you're yeah, like in a world that is white, that is cold. You've not seen a movie or read a book in 2 years. You're just like, well, your fart smelled.
Your fart was a little different today. Why do you think?
I like the part when I think Ord Lees snores a lot, and they're like, how do we like tie him to a rope and pull him when he starts snoring?
But there's also these moments, like one of them writes in their diary about watching a little bird on the shore and how it gets raked out to sea by the waves and it just hops right back up and starts pecking around again. And like, so there's these moments where these guys are just like, they have these moments of beauty, which is still pretty impressive, you know?
I love the part where they find out their cook Green had worked as a pastry chef.
Oh, yeah.
And so it says, the men never tired of asking him about it. They're like, how do you make this? How do you make this? How do you make this? Did you ever make one of these?
Describe exactly how much butter's in it.
And then they talk about, if you could have any one thing to eat right now, what would it be? And there's a list in there, and it's
so
all desserts, which is interesting.
Until you get down to the bacon and eggs.
Except for 2 people, and that would have been me.
That would have been you. But it is funny because at this point, for months and months and months, maybe more than a year, they really haven't had anything but
all they're
meat.
eating is
meat
and
and like
we never
pemmican.
want to
And pemmican, but then I think by this point it's probably just meat, and so they're like, my kingdom for a waffle, you know, like, please give me a carb.
One guy says toast and butter, and I felt that in my soul. I was like, that is exactly. I would want warm bread and butter. I think is what I would be thinking about the most.
Yeah, I mean, like people that do the keto diets, I get that they work for some people, but like that carb, like I have a carb craving that is in my soul.
Oh yeah.
Just like buttered noodles.
After we talked about croissants on the Discord the other day, I went out and bought some Publix croissants, and it's the best thing I ever did in my whole life.
Honestly, and no one's going to agree with me on this. I've had croissants in Paris. I've had croissants in Atlanta that are just as good.
They're different, and they're both delicious.
Yeah. I like them both.
Those Publix croissants are not, I mean, a French person would be like, what the heck? But I thought it was great.
What the heck? My our friend of the pod and a co-host of the Octothorpe podcast, Allison Scott, is a connoisseur of the almond croissant. I think she would say croissant. Because I didn't know this. I learned this from her. Almond croissants are made from day-old croissants.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that's the whole point of it, is that like it's a little bit stale, so you fill it with a filling, and that makes it delicious.
Love that.
And she, wherever she goes, she likes to try out the almond croissant.
I like almondy, pasty things.
I got one in Seattle. I got an almond croissant in honor of Allison since she wasn't there. Croissant.
A bad croissant that I've had in my life is...
Let's all talk about the croissants we have had.
Maxi-sode.
At the Snelling Dining Hall at the University of Georgia from 2001 to 2005, you could get a croissant sandwich, and it was just croissant-shaped white bread.
They just cut it into a little moon.
Yeah, and I was like, this is not a croissant, but it was good with like turkey and bacon and avocado, so...
I would like to plug another podcast I think I've mentioned before. It's the Explorers podcast. And there's a series about Shackleton. There's a series about the Belgica, which is where I found out about that, and it's so good. And then following the series about the Belgica, there's an interview with Julian Sancton, who wrote Madhouse at the End of the World.
Oh, yeah. He seems cool.
He is so nice. He was my friend on Twitter when Twitter was a thing. And we talked about the Captain Cook cocktail.
And he went down to Antarctica.
He did.
And that's one thing about this book that I think is wild, is that I mean, he never went to Antarctica, but his descriptions are so vivid.
He's a good writer.
And he had all those diaries, I guess.
I want to get to whether he's a good writer or not, but he had all the diaries and he talked to all those guys. And anyway, it was just impressive to me.
But I think the Explorers podcast has a series about Shackleton, about the Belgica, and then I also just listened to, because it was recently posted, a series about Robert Falcon Scott.
Oh,
and that's really interesting, especially if you're a fan of Shackleton, because Shackleton's first trip to Antarctica was on the Discovery as the storekeeper for the Scott expedition. And a reason that is in particular near and dear to my heart is the Discovery is located in Dundee, Scotland. And Kevin and I went there when we went to the Glasgow Worldcon, and I poked my head into Ernest Shackleton's cabin, and I got a little choked up. And a cute thing about it is that Shackleton was actually rather sickly and ended up being sent home early from the Discovery expedition, much to his chagrin. He had to go home on the relief ship the morning. But then he got back to England before Scott, and so he kind of got to be the guy who told the story, which ended up being good for his popularity. But Shackleton was in charge of the stores and provisions and also responsible for arranging the entertainments. And this will speak to us as English majors. He was the editor of the ship newspaper called the South Polar Times.
I would do that.
And it was all very cute, and he arranged for all this fun stuff on the ship because the men are frozen in. They don't have
Again,
anything
he's
to do.
good at people.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
I
good at
think
people.
this is all preparation for his role and understanding how people fit together and understanding like these two are kind of malcontents, so I'm going to take them with me on my little boat and leave everybody who plays well with others on this island to give each other haircuts and amputations and play banjo and be friends.
Scott didn't have anything to do with the Arctic, did he?
I think that was
Might be
Peary.
mixing him up in my mind with Ross.
I don't think so, but I don't know.
I don't think he did. Okay.
And you know, he died like on his next expedition.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he was.
Roald Amundsen got there, and
Yep.
unfortunately, Scott died on that same race to the South Pole.
Yeah.
Bless his heart. For scientific discovery, give me Scott. You will scientifically discover that he has died.
Someone on Letterboxd said we don't expedition like we used to. Because I was looking at people's reviews of the documentary that came out in the 2020, I think. And someone said we don't expedition like we used to, and I think that's true. I also think we couldn't expedition like we used to because we
Lawsuits.
know too much.
I mean,
and lawsuits.
Yeah.
and-
Airplanes and satellite mapping have changed
really-
a lot.
But for a while we didn't know things, which is
right?
crazy.
We just don't know stuff. I mean, and that's the thing is like there's still a lot we don't know about, but like it would take a pretty intrepid explorer to figure out how to get to the bottom of the ocean or to go really, really far into space and come back or like.
I started watching a show on Hulu called Pole to Pole, and Will Smith goes like skiing across Antarctica. It's really cute.
I mean, 15,000 people a year visit South Georgia Islands now.
If I had $10,000 right now,
Oh, I'd go. But, you know, I read what's the name of the guy who wrote Madhouse? Julian
Sancton.
He at the end of the Madhouse at the end of the Earth, he talks about going down there, and
would
it's
love to
like
go.
this. He has this sort of moment of crisis. Not crisis is a little strong, but he's like, I'm so glad I'm here, and I also have to deal with the fact that I am part of the problem because the Arctic and the Antarctic is getting fucked up.
And cruises are terrible for the environment.
Yeah, they're
famously.
It's, like we are ruining the environment.
He's
down
like
there.
in the Bay of Whales, and he's like, look at all these fucking whales, and also, this ship shouldn't be here right now.
Right.
And also, look at all these whales.
Anyway,
He seems like a cool guy.
I want to go down there so bad, and I would also feel so guilty if I went down there.
I know.
if I was rich, I would fly us to Beachy Island to go see our boys.
And I would go.
I would go.
I would also like you to fly us to Elephant Island so I can see our boys there.
I can't fix the world, and a lot of it comes from like every corporation polluting as well.
I know that's the thing is like I probably shouldn't feel that much guilt, but this particular situation is definitely like if people decided not to go down there, it wouldn't be as bad off.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely a people decision thing, I think. But anyway, I do want to go. So
Are you
I have
more
to deal with that.
of an Arctic girly or an Antarctic girly? I mean, I will definitely go to Antarctica, but I love
think
the Arctic.
I would rather go to Antarctica, I think, because I really want to see me some penguins.
Yeah, that's true. There are penguins.
And there's
more food.
And there's whales and there's seals. And I think the icebergs down there sound really cool. And there's mountains. And I think that it would just be a little more dramatic and lively down there.
There's like a pole.
Mount Terror and Mount Erebus.
Yeah.
The Ross Sea.
That's
right.
true.
All our boys went there before they went north.
Yeah. I just have a love of the Northwest Passage.
I mean, would I go to both? Yes.
Yeah. Same.
Absolutely.
Same.
I wouldn't kick the Arctic out of bed.
No,
but
not at all.
I think the Antarctic is probably slight.
I would like to go to the Arctic, but over by Svalbard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
I also like that there are no people in Antarctica, a
Yeah.
word that I have a hard time saying, and also typing. I discovered today as I was preparing my notes. My hands are just like maybe an extra C.
Yeah. Antarctica?
Yeah, I cannot type it.
Antarctica. It's like Atlanta.
Yeah,
Antarctica.
I would like to. For those who have not read it, I would like to just give a little list of how everything at every turn goes wrong.
Yeah.
Except for people don't die. But there are multiple times where people are swept out to sea and then they find them. So first they are beset in the ice, which either my hands or autocorrect changed to they are bestest in the ice.
Besties in the ice.
They're beset.
ice besties.
Ice besties. They were ice besties.
Then they sink. Then they get a lead and they hope it won't take them to open sea, but then it takes them to the open sea. Then they get separated. They're in 3 boats, and one of them has a very silly name. And they get separated, and they think at least one boat is lost, but then it's not. That was incredible to me.
There's
Those
so
3
much
boats
luck.
get separated,
and
then
they meet up again.
and then they're like, oh my God, it's you. And the other guys are like, we thought you were dead. And they're like, we thought you were dead. Like those Spider-Men pointing at each other.
Tie the boats together.
And then Then they land on Elephant Island, and then Shackleton's like, I know we just landed, but we have to move.
Yeah.
So then they move elsewhere on Elephant Island, and then Shackleton takes his small party. That whole thing sounds fucking horrific. I mean, it sounds awful.
Have you guys looked up pictures of the waves in the Drake Passage?
Oh,
because I did today.
It's like Interstellar. It's just like
it's giant. Like, I can't imagine.
having sailed 22-foot boats on Lake Lanier.
I was thinking about you.
And that's scary. I don't know how they. I don't know.
I was thinking about them canceling your trip when it was like breezy.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine.
Then they find South Georgia Island, but they can't approach it because of rocks or something.
Yeah.
Then they finally land on South Georgia Island, and then
On the
they
wrong
realize we're on the
side.
wrong side of the island.
The mountainous side.
And as with most islands, there's some mountain, and they have to climb the mountain, and then they realize several times that they've gone the wrong way, and they have to backtrack.
That would be so demoralizing.
Oh my God. There are so many times on this trip I would have been like,
Give me the gun.
boys, peace. And I just jumped over. I'd just been
Yeah,
like, or
I'm
just
done.
There was that one point when, on their trek through the island where they sit down and they start to take a little nap. And I was like, I think that's the point I would have given.
And Shackleton's like, wake up, boys. Then they get to the top of the mountain, and then they're like, we forgot about going down. And then Shackleton's like, here's what we're going to do.
Yep.
We're going to sit down and we're going to slide. And the author says that they like butted up against each other with their legs and arms around each other. He says, like a bobsled team with no bobsled.
Aw.
And then they get
Yours
to
said
the
bobsled?
Huh?
Yours said bobsled?
I think so.
Mine said toboggan.
Oh, it did say toboggan.
I was like,
I was
weird.
I was
Skeleton.
I was imagining Cool Runnings. That's exactly what I pictured.
Also imagined Cool Runnings
Yeah.
when I was reading this.
So then I substituted bobsled team like a toboggan team without a toboggan.
I was just gonna be amazed at translation or whatever.
Nope. Nope. Just me being
Sorry.
wrong. Listen, human memory is not great. And then it takes 3 attempts to rescue the men on Elephant Island because no one can approach the island. None of the boats down there can deal with the ice, which is so
This was
interesting
the other
to
thing.
me.
It's like they went through the Drake's Passage in their tiny, tiny boat, and then these big ass boats they get to go rescue these people. Also, they can't make it through the Drake's Passage. Like it was just
I think people underestimate that part of the book where they get to the Drake.
that's the
Passage.
part that sticks with me the most.
Yeah, that's the most harrowing. And they've got like thousands of pounds of stone ballast to help keep it upright.
Scraping their little knees.
Yeah, like it's uncomfortable to sleep in. I was trying to figure out how they did because 22 feet is not long, but these men were sleeping and taking shifts.
And when they would say below decks, I know, Amy, you
a
reminded
foot.
me that they basically built a little deck, but I had such a hard time imagining it because I guess in my head, I can only imagine a big master and commander ship.
It's not that. It's not that.
Yeah, I can imagine a modern sailboat and I can imagine a rowboat. So I keep imagining a rowboat, but then they're like talking about different places, and I just, I really cannot picture the James Caird. It's a James Caird,
Do you remember
right?
the whaleboat we saw in the New Bedford?
Yeah, it's
Whaling
like
Museum?
that.
The Lagoda.
No. So this is the boats they lower into the water from the whale ship
Yeah.
to go capture, and they're like 20 to 50 feet long. By decks, I think they mean like where you sit. There's like it's a piece of wood 1 foot off the bottom of the boat from the keel, and then like deck is like 1.5 feet.
But they were like, they were calling out to the men below decks, and I was like, what
They
does
created
that
a
mean?
deck like
But it
right
wasn't-
below the top
the
of the
boat
boat
is
with a
deep
with
enough?
canvas, and then
2
the
feet.
seats are about 1 foot below that,
Yeah.
So maybe they're laying under
and then
there?
they're underneath.
They
the
are.
seats.
I just had a very tough time picturing
They're basically
this boat.
sleeping. They're sleeping up in the pointy part of the boat,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
right below the seats,
Under a
and their
canvas.
I think their heads are like into the point of the boat,
For God's sake.
and then they're basically on the rocks that they put in the bottom of the boat.
It's basically like sleeping on the floor of a car.
Maybe I can't
Yeah.
think about it because I don't like to think
Well,
about
I
it.
remember
It's
when
very small.
the first time I read this, I could not picture what they were talking about. For some reason, this time around when they were describing it, I was like, oh,
Yeah, it is like a boat that is probably 4 feet. The gunnels are probably 3 feet.
So they put like extra wood around the inside of the boat to nail the decking down onto it. So
Yeah.
they have like this much boat on top of the decking.
Yeah.
And then
But
the
it's very
little oars
small.
are there, which is why they couldn't row because they were sitting right up next to the oars.
Yeah.
They had leverage.
It's not unlike being in a kayak.
It was that whole. I'll never get over it.
It's a tough time, boys.
Yeah.
They had a
They
tough
did
time.
it though.
But then
They did it.
Worsley got a sextant out and everything was okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looks like the losses in this was just 1 foot.
Yeah.
Just
Poor
just
Black
one man's
Bros
foot.
foot.
One little foot and one butt.
Now,
One butt cheek.
one thing we don't often talk about, though, in
dog
talking about the Shackleton expedition is the land party.
Yeah.
There's another
Yeah.
book. I think there are a few books, but one that I
wrote
have.
down.
What happened to them?
The other guys.
Yeah.
They had a much tougher time of it, and some of them died. And there's a book called Shackleton's Forgotten Men, which I have. Kevin got it for me at the Tacoma Book Center. I have not read it yet.
Yeah.
But they had a much tougher time of it. So, this is a good story of survival. These other boys, they had a
Pour
tough
one
time.
out for the
They
other
were
men.
around the other side of the island.
Yeah,
right?
so they were dropping food caches so that when Shackleton and them were going to go overland, they would have food.
Oh yeah, because I guess I don't remember if we said the goal of this expedition was called the Transantarctic Expedition, which I had such a hard time typing. And the goal was for them to basically hike across west to east. Or was it to sail? Well, you can't sail across the continent. So the idea was for them to cross
dog across
the continent.
Yeah. From like one
foot,
side to
with
the
their
other.
dogs and the sleds. And
You like pass over the South Pole and then keep going.
Where were they going to leave their boat?
I guess in the wet LC.
Were they going to leave it iced in
come
and
get
then,
it later?
and
Yeah.
then go for a walk and come back?
Yeah,
for it?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Imagine just leaving
Listen,
your boat.
There's a lot about this particular trip that seems dicey.
Also, maybe whatever the plan was for the boat was not interesting enough for Sir Alfred Lansing to tell
Yeah,
us.
this is about the
That's
survival
possible, too.
story, not
Well,
logistics.
I hope
They were going to go back down to the South Georgia Island. They were going to get a guy, and the guy was going to go get the ship, and then that guy would sail the ship back while the other. It's like going to get your car from the shop.
Oh, where you need somebody
Someone
to follow
takes you
you.
to go get it.
Or like doing the hooch and someone's got to park at the end and you got to drive back to the beginning. Yeah.
I do hope that I make time to read that other book because I think it will be interesting and harrowing and sad. R.I.P. those guys.
Also, yeah.
And they weren't even
Let's
leaving
pour
the
one
food
out for
for
those
anyone
guys. I know.
because no one made it that far.
I just can't believe nobody died. Nobody died in all this. One man has a heart attack, and I thought he died, but he was fine.
We go overboard. Shackleton went overboard one time.
Oh, that's right.
They got him. And then when they get to South Georgia Island, McNeish maybe?
He goes in
swept
over his
down
head.
to sea.
Over his head. He's in there over his
And
head.
they get him.
And then they're just like, you don't have any extra clothes, so we're just going to walk you so you stay alive. Nope.
Like
Tell
a
you-
colicky horse.
Tell you what, ladies.
How do you...
Couldn't be me. I'd have been like, you know what? You deserve the win, nature.
The other thing about sailing through the Drake's Passage is like, I think that one of the reasons I think I find that so compelling is because, they talk about being a good sailor and they're on these big ships and you got to do a lot of technical things to get those boats to go.
Yeah.
But there's something about them being on that tiny little boat with like their one little
Got like a
jib
jacket
sail.
on the string.
Yeah. And their like little pennant and like telling them which direction to go. Like they did some real ass sailing on that boat.
It's very MacGyver-y.
Yeah.
Like they had to just build their parachute on the way down, basically, which
And
is
they just, and they did
impressive.
it with a smile.
Build their parachute on the way down. What a good metaphor. I never heard that before.
I didn't make it up.
Well, you taught it to me.
I heard build the plane as you're flying it. I haven't heard the build the parachute on the way down.
Same
Like-
diff.
But I think that one works better because you're falling,
That's
you know?
true.
And these boys,
They were falling. Barely controlled fall the whole time.
And they lived.
And they lived.
and I think shout out to the pituitary gland.
Yeah.
I think probably a lot of it was just like your endocrine system being like, hey, let's keep living.
Let's keep living. Yeah.
And your body was like, yeah, okay. And your brain's like, if you say so.
He
I'm
writes
so cold.
He has that whole bit about how almost any organism on Earth, if cornered, would turn around and fight,
Yeah.
to survive. And he talks about those guys at the end of sailing the Drake's Passage, as I've mentioned before. And like they're just beat down by the ocean and they're just like, at their wits' end. But then at some point they're like, no, damn it.
And it's like any good thing that happens gives them this incredible boost of optimism.
Yeah. That's true.
Can you? Oh, so I was going to ask you guys about what you thought about his writing, but mainly, my thoughts on his writing, he's all right.
It's not bad.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job with this. I imagine there was so much more he could have put in there, and he was he exercised a lot of restraint.
It seems like he was very much like, I think it was completely fine.
But then
I think it's good.
But every now and again, he mostly it's like the Bergs were big, whatever. But like there are sometimes he just has these little gems, and the one that got me was their nights were just
So cool.
terrible.
Yeah.
And and every time they saw the sun, they were just like, thank God.
Yeah.
And
That's how I feel.
he had this line that was, the watches of the night were like a tally sheet of infinity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that's a really good way of putting, like, they just last forever.
1
and you're
minute.
like, 1 second,
One
1
minute.
second gone,
Yeah.
1 second gone, 1 second
Oh,
gone.
like Kimmy Schmidt
yeah.
counting
Do
10
anything for
seconds
10
at a time.
seconds.
Yeah. No, it's true. Because
I think he's a good writer. I don't take nonfiction lightly, and
Yeah,
I've
same.
now gone through this twice.
one of the few nonfiction books I've read from beginning to end.
He did a pretty good job. I think one of his biggest tricks, I think, in this book is there's so many men on the boat.
Yeah.
And he does definitely ignore a large swath of them.
Yeah.
But the ones he does talk about, I think he does a pretty good job differentiating them.
Yep.
Well, because I think they did more. Like, the random photographers aren't mentioned very often, but like they still
That guy sounded like a little bitch.
Yeah, but what's cool about this versus the
Marston.
Franklin stuff is that we have actual photos, like photos of like every key event. Like
There's video too.
Yeah.
Or there's a. Have you seen the?
Oh, the documentary. We should mention that.
Have you seen the documentary?
I
where
actually haven't seen
They found the boat.
Yeah.
I cried a little.
I did too. So
on the boat.
I did too, and I mean that's not the best documentary I've ever seen in my life. But one of the weird things about it was that they have snippets of a lot of these guys' voices because of the
that's cool.
interviews and video of them.
Yeah.
Video isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. So they AI'd them to read their own diaries,
Aw.
which
I thought
on the
so
one
long
hand,
and hard about it.
on the one hand is like creepy.
Yeah.
On the other hand, though,
That's cool.
it's like kind of cool that you can hear what these guys might have sounded like when they read these.
Yeah,
things.
I
mean,
had a lot
who
of
knows?
conflicting thoughts about
Yeah,
it.
I don't know if I really come down hard on one side or the other. It was a little weird, but whatever.
But
then-
seeing them find
but
the
then
ship,
they get the images of the boat. And
it's incredible.
it's incredible. There's a boot sitting on the
Yeah.
deck. That's
So
just,
cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I do recommend it.
I do too.
It's
I need to see it.
it's a lot about them, and they're trying to parallel what they're doing with Ernest Shackleton, which is a little stretched.
but they do have a lot of failures.
They
where
do.
They think
Oh,
they
really?
found it, and then they're like,
Yeah.
no. And then
Yeah.
they think they found it, and they get all excited, and then they're like,
It's like Titanic.
no, it was just a tin can.
No.
And then when they do find it, and you
Aw.
get to like tour it through the little
Cool.
swimmy camera,
Wild.
it is
Yeah.
pretty
I
incredible.
want to go back and watch it again now that I've read the book. Like
Yeah.
I want to watch it a little closer to time.
do you see the bell, and it has the ship's name on
Aw.
it? I think
You see the front of the boat.
I think, but isn't there the bell, and they zoom in on the bell? Maybe I'm making that up.
No, that does sound familiar, but Endurance is written really big on the front of the boat.
This is
Yeah,
where
it's pretty
yeah.
incredible.
This is where I disagree with shipwreck law. I think that like all these things should be in museums somewhere. Like I want to see the Franklin wreck. I want to see the Titanic wreck somewhere.
Well, I think they can't raise them.
Titanic needs to stay where it is.
I know.
Yeah, I think that they
Otherwise,
can't-
you'll just come up with this one rock. Or
And
one little piece
aren't
of
the
wood.
Terror and the Erebus property of the native people there? Like technically,
I think so, but like
so.
I don't know. I just wish
I
like,
feel fine about that. We trespassed and we left our
They haven't
stuff.
sent. I want them to send video down to the Terror and the Erebus.
yeah. I just feel like there's so much
like
we
what
could learn.
they do with Endurance. I want to see them.
Yeah.
I want to see them real bad.
I mean,
Well, I think maybe that eventually that will happen.
yeah, that's true. What's the most psychologically horrifying detail that wasn't actually violent? So not obviously killing dogs sucks, but like to me, I think it's living each day without any idea if you're gonna live,
Yeah, the not knowing
but not knowing. Yeah,
and
Living
having
is certainly
to
fine.
having to be like, maybe it'll be fine, and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think being wet and cold and
I think
frostbitey.
the complete lack of comfort would
Yeah,
would
like no comfort.
get to you eventually, right? Like just going to bed cold and wet every single
and
night.
and they
like,
talk about that a lot. They just like we just climbed in and we were so
it's just
exhausted. You had to do
always
it.
on edge because what if this iceberg breaks underneath us? What if a wave comes to us?
And sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Like I think that would be pretty hard for me.
Yeah.
Like
I am such a baby when it's even 40 degrees in Atlanta.
I'm not good at uncertainty. Also, I wouldn't have signed up for this
True.
because of that.
the odds of me being on the boat are pretty slim.
But I just can't believe there wasn't more just like breakdowns.
We wouldn't have been invited though because we were women.
That's true.
I mean, the idea of all the no bathing and the wearing your own poop makes me feel fine about that because I also know that my urethra would not
No.
handle that
Yeah.
situation.
There would have been a lot of issues.
I didn't belong there,
Yeah.
Would you think you would have brought 100 tampons?
1,000 times.
at least. And then it probably wouldn't have been enough.
Nope. And they would have gotten wet at some point when we used them anyway.
You would have lost so much weight that you would have stopped.
Yeah, that's
having a
true.
period.
That's true.
That's true.
There would not have been any. Yeah.
But I would not have stopped getting urinary tract
that's
infections
true.
from pooping over the side and having my poop dry all over me.
That's true. That's where it benefits being a man with a penis.
Although I would say maybe in my 20s I could have survived it. Now,
Oh, no.
my bladder would be like, bye, bitch.
See? I'm infected and you're dead.
Good luck without me.
I think that was all my key points.
Should we do segments?
Yeah. Feminist favorite. There's not any women in this book.
I said the boats.
Because the boats are all
The
girls.
boats are all girls.
love the girls.
and they're the real heroes in this book. Like, I mean, Endurance lasted as long as she could.
Yeah, she did.
And those 3 little boats they took out into the water,
Yeah.
like they sure as hell did everything they needed to do to keep them alive.
Yeah.
Shout out to the lady boats.
And the Endurance said to the ice, I'll see you melting in hell first.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have one.
Oh, yeah.
So Mrs. Chippy the cat.
Mrs. Chippy.
Turns out Mrs. Chippy the cat was actually a male cat.
True.
And I was happy that the men did not seem to be so concerned with gender conformity that they renamed Mrs. Shippey. Mrs. Shippey just stayed Mrs. Shippey, even though she was a boy cat.
We can't know how she had.
And that is a good point to bring up. There's a picture in the book of, I forget his name, but he was a stowaway.
Oh yeah, Miss
Pierce Blackborough,
yeah.
who no longer has toes.
Yeah, but
on the 1 foot.
Yeah, but he's
fine.
he was a stowaway on. He's a stowaway with maybe the worst luck in the entire world.
No kidding.
Why would you? I guess I get why you would stow away on a boat.
But they waited
and whatnot.
They waited till it was too long to turn back, and he's like, "Surprise, I'm here!" And they just like let him stay and give him a job. So
sounds like Shackleton gave him a little tongue lashing and then let him.
Oh,
stay.
But not a real lashing. So
yeah, that's true.
That's true.
That's true.
Wait, that was your feminist favorite?
No, I don't really have a feminist favorite because there's no women in this book.
Was it really a woman?
Yeah.
In the movie, that would be a girl.
That way, yeah.
Oh, that's true. It would have been a little Arya Stark type
Yeah.
girl.
Oh. For my misogynist moment, and this is a stretch because I don't think there's really any misogyny in this book, but they kept saying their toast, which is
That's mine.
yeah, to our sweethearts and wives, may they never.
Yeah.
That's mine too, but I think it's also a stretch, and I think it's very funny, actually.
Very funny, yeah.
So my misogynist moment is he feeds us all these little crumbs of describing the way these guys look. But he went to great lengths to make sure we knew how short everybody was.
Oh yeah.
So it's to me kind of the equivalent of making sure that we know when a woman's fat.
Yeah. Oh, the minute short. Yeah.
So also Shackleton himself was not a tall man, and he was described a lot as being square.
Mm-hmm.
But here are all of our short kings.
Yeah.
Frank Wilde, the second in command, was very small but powerfully built.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Worsley, the captain, deep-chested man of slightly less than average height.
Aw.
Alfred Cheatham, the third officer, a tiny man, even shorter than Wilde. And then this one's a stretch, but Leonard Hussey, I don't know, with the meteorologist, an irrepressible, peppery, little individual.
I guess that doesn't bother me that much because he's just like, I think he gives very detailed physical descriptions of everybody.
It just struck me. It was funny.
That is funny though.
I was like, did these men go on the ship because they're short?
Honestly, that's the best way.
You probably fit more comfortably in those cramped quarters.
Yeah, and
That's true.
That's why women are better astronauts because we eat less, we take less oxygen because we're typically smaller than men.
But we have all those emotions, Haley.
Yeah, I know, and the tampons.
Lower center of gravity. Apparently,
really?
according to Forever War, we handle
that's
G-force better.
There's that trick where you like hold a chair and have your head against the door, and like men can't do it.
Kevin and I did that during the pandemic, and it unfortunately hurt Kevin's back.
Oh.
Wait, you lean your head against the wall and do
There's like a way of picking up a chair when you're bent over that women can do easier than men. So yeah.
I thought it was fake, and then we tried it, and it hurt Kevin's back. I feel bad about that. But I mean, it seemed fake.
You weren't to know.
I mean, I've seen multiple videos where like men just can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, boob talk.
I have a boob talk surprise. So my boob talk is when McElroy, the most cosmopolitan member of the crew, is sharing various cocktail recipes, and he tells them about the bosom caresser, which he describes as a guaranteed aphrodisiac. And we have, and by we I mean Kevin, has obtained all of the ingredients for a bosom caresser, and we have it here to share today. Cheers.
Cheers. To the Antarctic.
Kevin.
Antarctic, see?
You got to cheers everybody, I've learned. And make eye contact.
Gotta make eye contact.
Yep.
I just learned that.
Yeah.
I was taught that by my former law school roommate, Anna. Hi, Anna, who is French. And she got very upset when we didn't make eye contact.
Ooh.
I learned that from a French friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just know what's up.
Well, I was like, why do we do that? And she was like, because people don't make eye contact that much. And I was like, am I going around making too much eye contact? Anyway.
Americans might be different.
I was amused because it also popped up on the UK Celebrity Traders, which was an amazing program. But they also, when they cheersed at dinner one night, eye contact. It was funny.
Here we go.
The bosom caresser contains cognac, Grand Marnier or other cognac orange liqueur, Madeira, grenadine syrup, and 1 fresh egg yolk. Serve in a coupe glass.
Yep.
I'm going to take a picture of this pretty cup.
When I was buying my bread and milk for the ice apocalypse we didn't have, everybody had built a lot of the eggs. There weren't a lot of eggs left. So I bought the fancy blue eggs.
Ooh.
And they are so good. And now I'm worried I won't be able to go back.
I didn't know that the color of an egg made a difference.
I don't think it does, but these eggs are just good.
Just the fanciness.
Egg placebo. No.
Like they're still like chicken, like indicators on the outside of the shell.
Yeah.
I'll just put it that way.
I really had to think about that for a second. I was like, chicken indicators. I was imagining like a picture of a chicken. Like they had stamped the shells.
Indications of the presence of a chicken.
This came from a cloaca.
Boop.
Means poop.
I had that boob talk as well, but I had another one, which is basically the description of the ship in the beginning of the book. It's like her beams were. It was a loving description. I'll just put that.
Her prominent prow.
It was sumptuous description.
I did not focus on a boob talk because there's so little that is feminine in this book.
I was really waiting for them to describe the mountains on all the islands as
Grand Teton.
Tetons or something.
They really didn't. What do you guys think of this drink?
I like it.
It's good. It tastes like eggnog.
It's interesting to me how it is. I guess it's the Grand Marnier and the grenadine, so it's creamy, but it's got a fruitiness.
It does.
A certain fruitiness.
I think that this wouldn't be out of place in a tropical escapism setting.
That's true.
Would grenadines or Grand Marnier, is that the other thing you said was in it? Mm-hmm. Either one of those stave off scurvy? What do we think? Scurvy?
Oh, I have a question about that later.
I think grenadine, it's pomegranate syrup, but when you cook it, it cooks off the vitamin C.
Oh, well.
It is supposed to have an orange zest.
Oh, well, then if we had orange zest, we would not get scurvy, Kevin.
Kevin, I feel like you should have a microphone for this episode. Oh, he just was like, no thanks. Well, if you couldn't hear him, listener, he said it's supposed to have an expression of orange, which I guess I didn't scroll down far enough. I guess there was an ad between the ingredients and it's saying that, but I do think that should be in the ingredients list.
Yeah, you'd think.
Okay. That's my boob talk.
Boob talk.
Boob talk.
All right. Fantastic food. Nothing fantastic about this food, but it's so good.
I
So, okay, first we got to talk about pemmican, which is just like, and if I
Dog
had,
pemmican, specifically.
I know. If I had not had a very busy week for various reasons, I would have made vegetarian pemmican recipe that I found online with mushrooms. And
basically be a granola bar, right?
No, it's just like a lot of oil and mushrooms and peas.
That sounds good.
I know, probably was. So pemmican generally is like a traditional native survival food made of like berries and fat, rendered fat, and just like chunks of meat, like beef jerky.
Like bird suet.
Yeah, but it's
humans.
just like bird suet.
Oh.
And then you could make a dish called hoosh, which would be like ship's biscuit and some pemmican all melted together with little snow melted ice water. Delicious. The men drank a lot of powdered milk, and it was like their favorite thing.
What do you think the difference between pemmican and dog pemmican is? Because they talk about dog pemmican a lot.
I think it's more just like more raw meat, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe like
probably
rougher
like the
quality.
like maybe the quality, like the dogs get the meat trimmings.
In my mind, for a while, they were literally eating dog food. And I was like, oh, no. Desperate times.
Well, and I was thinking about, like, they had, like, 60 dogs, which is so many dogs. And I thought about how dirty and smelly and nasty, like, the deck would have been.
Those dogs didn't ask to be there.
I know. It's so sad. And, like, the dogs...
Well, the dogs were mostly in their dog loos, though, once they got there.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, for a while, I think things were okay for the dogs.
Yeah.
But then they had to drag those sledges around.
I know.
And then what'd they get for it?
Yeah. Well, but I was just thinking, like, all the food they had to do to keep the dogs alive, too. And then they ended up not going across land to use the dogs. So I was just like, oh, these poor dogs.
Yeah, I said this in our last episode when we were talking about how we were going to do this one. If you haven't read this, just be forewarned, there's the shooting of many, many dogs.
Yeah.
And it is too bad. And I'm not going to say it was the wrong decision. It was just...
It's sad.
It's really sad to read, especially because the dogs were rowdy and fought with each other all the time, but the dogs did like the men, and the men loved the dogs. And they had litters of puppies, so some of them were kind of particular pets of the men, and it was just really sad. And one thing
that was the other time I cried a lot.
Well, I was mad at Shackleton for not doing it himself. It bothered me that he didn't take that on
Making
himself.
them shoot their own teams.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Although I'd rather shoot my own dog.
Well, I was going to say, I would too.
But one of them had to do more than his own.
Yeah.
And I think
Wild, I think.
I think some people are better at it than others. Like if you're stronger at heart.
I think that's fine. I think if I had to do that, if that had to be done, I would be like, let me be responsible for doing
Let me
this
say
to my own
goodbye.
dog.
Yeah.
But I think Shackleton, and of course we can't know everything that happened, but I think Shackleton should have been like, I will do this unless someone wants to raise their hand. And we don't see that, and that bugs me because I think some of the men were so distraught about it.
I wonder if it has something to do with showing sympathy or like looking like being able to command them to do this shows more like makes him keep more control or something.
I mean, maybe, but he did seem so concerned with maintaining his sense of responsibility for everyone's well-being.
Yeah.
And so to that end, I think that he should have been If he wasn't, I think he was wrong to not be willing to say, this is going to do psychic damage to my crew. I should volunteer to do it. And then I would say, no, I'm going to do this with my own pet. I don't want I don't want my pet to die with a stranger. I would do it. But
maybe
still.
it's like in the book about the Oregon Trail. It's like we make sure that we only eat each other's friends, that we're not family, Yeah. So it's like, I'll shoot your dogs, you shoot mine. Like, I'm sure there's some kind of weird psychic calculus they had to do. But
yeah, I don't know.
Does suck.
I think Shackleton is not cute in that scene.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't know what he was thinking. I wonder if there's anything in his diaries.
Well,
about it.
and they like did it in stages too. Like the puppies live longer than the older dogs because they were more loved. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, he
they
has
ate less, maybe.
his own book too, his own memoir of the expedition, which is apparently not super long. And in researching this episode, I found a review of it where the person who read it was like, "I thought this would be so fucking boring," and it was actually very interesting and only like 200 pages.
I mean, the man was famous for a reason, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
He could tell a ripping yarn.
Oh, he had real celebrity power.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, y'all are more emotionally driven. Like, I don't cry from books, but like if this had been a movie and I got to know those dogs, I would have cried. But
I cried
in the
a lot
books, it
when
made
I
it a
knew
lot
those
easier for
dogs.
me to be like, this sucks.
I
But
mean, I
like,
can't imagine because like having a dog around is probably one of the, and I think this goes back to the comfort thing.
yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
having a dog around is probably one of the, even if dogs were kind of, I mean, they were working dogs.
Yeah,
They weren't.
But they still
pets.
loved them. Yeah.
But like having them around and having something to do with them and
Yeah.
probably playing with them.
Oh,
and,
And
like,
keeping warm, cuddling and sleeping with
They
them.
exercise with them.
it's one of
Yeah.
the only comforts they probably had, you know?
Absolutely.
And obviously we know how people can form bonds with animals.
Yeah.
Because they're uncomplicated bonds, right? And
Yeah.
like, I cannot begin to imagine what that must have felt like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you don't want to read
So
that,
I cried a lot when I read it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
This is Chippy.
This is Chippy. So then they survive. So they, this is sad too. Like, so there's lots of penguins and seals in the Antarctic,
So much killing of penguins. And
but
seals.
they're not afraid of humans, so they could just go up and just like
I
feed them to
know.
death.
And then there's that picture in the book of him holding two penguins.
Penguins, I know,
Those penguins did not last very long
No.
after that picture.
but they were able to get vitamin C and live way
I mean,
longer.
They had to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
on
don't
the well, I mean, most of us eat dead animals, so I can't hold that against them. It's not like they were doing it for sport.
Yeah. Well, and again, like if I had to kill animals, I'd probably be vegetarian, but I pay someone else to do it.
Right.
I think I was on the Belgica expedition where they didn't like killing the penguins because they kind of reminded them of people, the way they just like mill around
Yeah.
and aren't scared of you. So they were like, I feel like I'm killing little guys.
Well, and like we've domesticated animals for human consumption for 30,000
Yeah.
years.
I mean,
so.
I was.
These are not that though. These are just little animals that live on ice floes.
Yeah.
So, and they're really cute.
There's something about us. There was something about us going into their little home and taking them out.
right, like
Which
we
was-
shouldn't be
which
there.
was
Yeah.
Like,
harder-
yeah,
harder
we're
to deal
starving,
with. Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
came here. Like, you signed up to come here. You didn't bring enough pemmican.
Yeah.
You don't get to kill these penguins, but we do.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
they even ate some albatross, and they were like, it was weird but good. I mean, I think when you're starving, everything tastes good.
There was a moment where they were like, they got their binoculars out and saw little humps of white, and they were like, "Oh, baby albatross!" Like, God,
they'll eat,
they're gonna kill the babies.
I've never like done more than skip lunch, so like I can't imagine like
I'm kidding.
the drive of like, oh my god, let me eat that fucking penguin
Oh
blood.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I think by the time we get to seal backbone stew, things
Yeah,
are really
that's
things
true.
are really taking a dark turn.
Yeah, like, and you're just like eating.
Apparently, they liked it a lot.
Strips of blubber. You're using blubber to heat your stove.
Yeah.
It's an oil
Penguin
source.
steaks, oily seal soup, nut food.
What is nut food? We think.
I think it's like a granola bar.
Okay,
That's
so
the only
it's
thing I
just
can
like
think
nuts,
of.
though?
But I didn't look it up.
I was surprised by how much. Like there was never. I mean, only till like the last month did they really start to worry about food. They had so much food.
They did have a lot of food, and then they left it all behind because Shackleton, in one of his many strange decisions, was like, "Let's not bring the food."
Yeah. Well, I think it's better than the Franklin expedition pulling a piano on a sledge boat. So.
There's a lot of daylight between.
You got to remain gentlemen here.
Yeah.
New York.
There's a lot of daylight between food and piano.
Yeah.
Although, again, we don't know if they actually tugged a piano, I guess. Did we find a
Wait,
piano?
was that in the
ice?
Terror or was that in the actual?
I think that is in the
remnants.
actual like the Wikipedia of the
like
Terror
when they found the boat. They did find a boat that people had been living in.
Yeah.
I wonder if the
Yeah,
piano
yeah.
was there maybe.
I think that's why I like the Terror and the Franklin expedition lore a little bit more because there is mystery. Like we know everything that happened on
Yeah.
this, whereas like you got to guess at some of the weird shit that happened.
I have some fantastical foods.
Okay.
There's a fun food metaphor, early days, about being beset in the ice. And Orlees says the ship is frozen like an almond in the middle of a chocolate bar.
And that's exactly what it seems like.
I thought that was so cute.
That is a good metaphor.
Then there was a time that they killed a sea leopard. Oh, one of the
I
men.
looked up seal leopard.
It's a leopard seal. Yeah.
One of the men.
It's not a leopard.
Seal.
Well, see-
leopard seal.
But a sea leopard is its own thing.
Well, no, but it's called a leopard seal.
It is?
Yeah, that's. I Googled sea leopard because like, what the fuck is a sea leopard? And it's a leopard seal.
I thought I Googled it before, and it's like a giant.
They're very
kinda-
toothy, necky seals.
Yeah, but it's still like.
Maybe maybe that's what it was called back then.
Yeah, but it's just a type of seal that's weird and long and necky.
Okay, but it would also pop up out of the ice and eat your ass.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's like-
Which
it's like
seems like a video game, you know. Suddenly, this like dinosaur emerges
Or like
from the ice.
whack-a-mole.
But so the leopard seal pops up out of the ice, and one of the men pretends to be a penguin. He starts flapping and waddling to lure it so then they can shoot it and kill it. And then when they open it up, they found nearly 50 undigested fish in
Free
its
fish.
belly. And they're like, fuck yeah, free fish.
Free
so
fish.
they eat the fish, and then they have the sea leopard and they have so much food.
Yep.
And then my other favorite one is that Green, the cook, who they say cooks are often the victim of merciless ribbing, which is not nice. You should be nice to the cook. I'd be nice so I get extra.
Same.
Green would play little pranks on them. For example, once he frosted a blown up balloon and told them it was a cake. And then another time he took a block of wood and, quote, daintily covered it with icing and was like, boys, I made you a cake.
What a waste of icing.
It's so funny. It's like those videos where it's like, is it cake?
Is it cake or is it
He
wood?
invented that.
He did.
I forgot. I just remembered another boob talk I was going to do, which is where they did drag
Oh, yeah.
on Midsummer's Night or whatever.
And they always do. All of these ships.
Always.
Drag is part of the fun in all of
wild.
these ships.
Yeah.
Guess what, everybody? Drag's not a big fucking deal. It's just fun.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone listening to this needed to hear that.
that's true.
Tell your uncle. Drag's not a big fucking deal. It's just fun. Yeah, that's all my food.
Any soap stuff?
Pierce Blackborough's Stowaway.
Yeah.
Oh,
that is
yeah,
good. That
that's
is good.
true.
That's the soap
I
stuff.
was trying to think of something, and I was like, nah, it's all just dramatic plot points. But
Yeah,
you're right.
everything is soap
Stowaway is
stuff.
definitely soap stuff.
Yeah.
A little soapy, too, is I think after Shackleton died, his wife had him buried at South Georgia Island.
Oh, really?
And it's like on the one hand, that part of the world meant a lot to him. On the other hand, he was a known rampant philanderer. So maybe she was like,
I'm going to
here,
put his ass on something.
you can be far, far away
Ice
from
out.
me.
Ice out here.
Ooh, that's a feminist favorite.
Yeah. That is. Did you like the book?
I sure did.
Sure did.
I sure did too. Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. because-
No.
It's Lord of the Rings because of the nut food. And also,
Wait, is there nothing in Lord of the
There's
Rings?
lembas.
I mean, it's limbus bread. It's limbus bread.
is lembas.
Well,
Also, they go there and back again.
Okay.
So it's
They
Lord of the-
do go there and back again.
I think
it's The Hobbit.
I think it's Star Wars because obviously it's Hoth, but at one point a crew member warms his hands inside of a penguin like it's a tauntaun.
Good point.
Those are not bad points.
Touche. Maybe it's a tie. I think it's both.
Also, I mean, South Georgia. I was gonna say South Georgia Island's not Mount Doom, but I mean not.
One does not simply
No, that-
sail into Mordor.
That's true.
Never mind. That makes it Lord of the Rings.
But your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker, and I'll see you in hell. Yeah. Good times.
What's next?
One of those Marses.
Oh, we got a Mars.
We're doing a Mars next.
It's either green or blue.
I think it's
It's green.
green Mars. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I have to DM it.
Oh no,
I didn't know that.
I may meet with an
I only have
unfortunate
a month
accident.
to read a Mars.
there's probably less rocks in it this time.
I mean, here's the thing.
February's a short month.
I bet you can skim it. You know? I bet you could skim it.
How many escarpments are in it?
I bet you could read the Wikipedia.
No, ladies.
Is it
No.
as long
We
as
signed up
Red
to
Mars?
read the books. We're reading the books.
You've read it before, haven't you?
No.
No.
I had read Red Mars.
Yeah.
I had read Red Mars before, but I've not read the rest of them.
We shall persevere.
We're gonna do it.
I got a
Mars,
DM
Mars.
and it's the worst thing that's ever happened to
Aw.
me.
Mars.
I could take your spot for $5.
I got $5. You want
You could trade. You have to trade a half a penguin steak.
I could do that. I'll give you 6 of my sugar cubes for the end of the week.
Penguin.
I will give you my cup of warm powdered milk.
Done.
Did you guys ever see the video of Benedict Cumberbatch not being able to pronounce penguin?
Penguin.
Penguin.
Penguin?
Penguin.
Penguin.
Roundabout.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay warm. Fuck ice. Yeah, I know. This is the only kind of ice worth talking about.
You go, girl. You go, girl. You go, girl. A hilarious podcast